everyone, this is Brian from ActiveMelody.com. Well, in this week's guitar lesson, we're going to take a look at a very young Eric Clapton Cream-style guitar solo. Now, obviously, Cream was a trio. They did not have a rhythm guitar player when they played live. It was just Jack Bruce, Ginger Baker, Eric Clapton. Rest in peace, Jack Bruce. But when they did their studio work, they would do overdubs. Clapton would overdub leads, and so some of you may have noticed that in the intro that there was actually a rhythm guitar part, and that's just to help with the when you're playing along, when you're practicing this style of playing, it does help to have that rhythm track to help with your timing. So that's why that's included. So you Cream purists may have noticed that, but that's why. So if you'd like to download the tablature and the jam track to practice with and watch the part 2 video, you can get all of that at ActiveMelody.com. Just look for EP119. That's the lesson number for this lesson. So let's go ahead and start with part 1. Alright, so let's talk through tone settings real quick before we jump into the lesson. Now I'm playing on the Gibson ES335. This is a Dot series guitar. The reason I grabbed this guitar was because that's the one that Clapton used when he played with Cream. Now he didn't have a Dot series, but he did have a cherry red ES335 like this. In fact, that was the reason I bought this one. I wanted to have a guitar that looked similar and sounded similar. I just thought it had such a great tone, and I love this guitar. It's just an awesome guitar. But anyway, I have the pickup selector switch set, and it's between the two pickups, so it's in the middle position, picking up from both pickups. I have both volumes set at about 7. Both volumes of each pickup are set at about 7, and I have the tone turned all the way, almost all the way up, about 8 on this one and about 8 on this one. So that's the tone settings. Now Clapton would use what he called woman tone in those days, and woman tone is kind of a you're almost getting a bass. I think you would put it on the bass pickup or the neck pickup, and then turn the bass all the way up and get this kind of nice little breakup sound. Now that works great on a SG, which he would play on, but I'm able to simulate it, at least with the pedals that I'm using and then this setup. It's pretty close. The thing you don't want to have is you don't want to have a real crunchy sound. If you're trying to sound like Clapton in the Cream days, he didn't have a crunchy sound. He would, any of the real trebly stuff, he would kind of back off, and you'd get this kind of bassy, punchy sound. Okay, so the only pedal that I'm using is a Tube Screamer TS808, which is made by Ibanez, and I have the overdrive at about 70% because these pickups are so hot. If I go all the way up, it almost becomes too much. So overdrive's at 70%, the tone is at about 70%, and then the level is at about 50%, so right in the middle. Now if you don't have a Tube Screamer pedal, you can use a Boss BD2 pedal, which is made by, it's made by Boss, but it's a blues driver pedal. That's a great one. In fact, that pedal could be easily substituted for the Tube Screamer. If you don't have a pedal at all, just plug straight into your amp and turn up your overdrive. Try and get a real nice, overdriven sound that even if you get a little feedback, that's okay too. And so that's the tone setting. Let's talk about the key. Now we're in the key of E for this thing, and pretty much the whole time I'm going to be playing in the E minor pentatonic scale. There's a few little instances where I break away from that, but it's like 99% E minor pentatonic scale. And Clapton would often play. He was obviously influenced by blues guys, and would, when he was playing, he still does, but even back in the Cream days, he was, even though it was like kind of out there psychedelic blues rock or whatever, it was pretty much he was a blues man. He was just amplified. And so anyway, so the first thing that happens is this little thing that goes. So let's talk through that. Now what I'm doing is I'm actually mirroring, or not mirroring, but I'm playing an octave higher than what the rhythm track did. I started this thing when I was just kind of playing around this week with a lesson. I started with this. And I thought that, well, that's kind of a cool little rhythm because it's repeatable, and wasn't sure what to do with it, but as I was thinking about it, it sounded like Cream. It sounded like something that you might hear from that era. And so anyway, so the part that we're going to learn is taking that low end rhythm thing and then playing on top of it, playing an octave higher. And so we're going to start here. Now we're going to start in pattern 4. So those of you that are familiar with your patterns, I cover all of that in the blues lead course at activemelody.com. There's 5 patterns. It's actually pretty simple when you break it down, but we're going to be playing, most of the time we're always in pattern 1, or it seems that we're always there, but in this we're going to be primarily, at least starting in pattern 4. So just as a quick refresher, pattern 1 would look like this. So your root fret would be where the nut is, because we're in the key of E. So pattern 2 would be here. Pattern 3 would be up here, and then pattern 4, which is where we're going to be, is here. So again, so check out pattern 4 if you've forgotten what that is. Just look it up in the blues lead course. Okay, so we're going to start here, and I use my ring finger on the 9th fret 3rd string. And we're going to play that note, and then I'm going to take my middle finger and come down to the 9th fret 4th string. Those are your first 2 notes. And then we're going to play 7th fret 3rd string, 9th fret 3rd string. So let's just do that first. The picking pattern with the right hand is down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. It's alternate picking. Okay, and again, that's just mirroring what the low notes were doing. So in the rhythm, you'll hear it in the jam track. It's same thing. Okay, now after that, there's this heavy vibrato that's applied to this string, which is the 8th fret 2nd string. Now, vibrato, I'm not going to get into that, but the way that I do it is I go up and down like that, and that's another whole lesson in and of itself. But some people do it like this by moving their wrist, and some people use their whole arm. So that just kind of play around if you're new to vibrato, and figure out what works best for you. There's no right answer. There's lots of different ways to do it. So that's the first thing that's going to happen. So then after that, we're going to play this. Now what I do for this part is I bar the first 4 strings on the 7th fret, and I start on the 7th fret 4th string, do a hammer on to the 9th fret 4th string, and then I play the 7th fret 3rd string. Now, when I hammer on with my ring finger, I keep that finger down because I'm going to come back to it after I play the 7th fret 3rd string. So it goes like this. Now watch this. Then I come all the way down to the 5th fret 4th string. So now you start to understand the importance of these patterns and why it's important to be able to visualize them. Think of acetate overlay on your neck as to what these patterns are, because it's really just your boundaries for playing lead. So when I play something like, to come down to this note, you understand, well, that's just still part of pattern 4. I get it, you know. So okay, now after that, we're going to repeat. That part's the same. Now, the only difference is, after this note, we're going to slide up and play this note, which is the 10th fret 2nd string. So the second time through goes like this. Now, there's different ways you can do this. You can just play the note straight, or you can go, you can slide up to it. I don't want to. Just know that you're trying to hit this note, and the reason is it's matching what the low end is doing. When this comes to this chord, that's what you're trying to do. Okay, so you can play around with it. Just try and get close to landing there, and you can bend to it and then release to it, or however you want to do it. But okay, so now we're gonna, before I move on, let me back up and I'll just play through everything up to this point slowly. So here we go. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Now this time through, I wanted to change it up and play a little harmonized part. Instead of just playing, which is one string, I wanted to play two, just to keep it interesting. And so what I did for that was, and I did this every other time that I played that part. So so the first time through it's just a single string. The second time through, you play the double string. You could play the double string every time if you wanted, but that's just how I did it to keep it in some kind of a format. So here are the notes. So this note is the same actually that we already learned, the 8th fret 2nd string. The only difference is I'm playing it now with my middle finger, because I'm going to put my pointer finger, my index finger, up here on the 7th fret 1st string. And I'm just doing a downstroke, playing both those notes at the same time. And then watch this. You just slide that up 2 frets. And if you can use some vibrato, it gives it a very Clapton type. He's really good at doing. His vibrato is awesome. I think it's probably the best. I think it's the best of anybody's, but he's really good at doing a vibrato with 2 strings. Especially in the Cream days, he seemed to do a lot of that stuff. So, all right. So backing up, we have. And then a repeat. Okay, now then the song switches to from the E part, it goes to an A part, or an A7th part, which goes. And the chords there, if you're interested, that's just an A7th chord, and it goes down to a G7, back to the A7. Very kind of Cream style chord arrangement. So once we go to the A7th part, the lead part goes. Let me show you that. So again, we're still in pattern 4 of the E minor pentatonic scale, and we're coming up here to I'm using my ring finger on the 10th fret 2nd string, and I'm doing a full bend there. You can see what's happening there. You're kind of always keeping tension on that string, so it's just like 3 bends. 1, 2, 3. Then watch this. So then I'll release the bends from the 10th fret 2nd string, come to the 8th fret 2nd string, always keeping a little tension on that string if you can. It just keeps it sounding almost like a human voice singing, a little out of pitch, but it's. Then we're back to the 10th fret, another bend, release, and then back to the 8th fret 2nd string. So it's really just going back and forth between the 10th fret and the 8th fret with some bends in there. So let me do it again slowly. Okay. Now after that, I came up here and went. Let me do that again. I'll do it slowly. And so what I'm doing is I'm starting on in the same spot, the 10th fret 2nd string. I'm doing a slow bend there like this. It's a full bend, so you're going up a full bend. Remember, it's 2 frets from where you start. That's the note you're trying to hit. And then I'm going to come up here. All of this, by the way, is pattern 4. We're still in pattern 4 of the minor pentatonic scale, key of E. And then I'm going to match that note that I'm bending to by playing the 7th fret 1st string, it's the same note. Now watch this. That's a hammer-on. Now, Clapton used that a lot in Cream, and he still does to this day. These little hammer-on pull-off tricks. So I keep my pointer finger down on the 7th fret 1st string, and I do a hammer on. I use my ring finger for this. Clapton does too. He doesn't use his pinky very much. He hardly ever does. So it's a hammer on to the 10th fret 1st string, and then a pull off, and then a hammer on again to the 10th fret, but on the 2nd strings. That's what it looks like. And you can do that on, actually those little tricks work on an acoustic or electric guitar. You don't have to have amplification to even do them. So you can see it happens quickly. And just practice it. Watch the right hand. Watch what's happening so you can see it's just one pick. Okay, so after that, then you come back to the 7th fret 1st string. And then you go to the 10th fret 2nd string and go like this. So it's just a bend, release, but don't hit that note. Don't hit the 10th fret 2nd string. After you bend it, you release it and then come down and play the 8th fret 2nd string. Then the 10th fret 2nd string. Hit it twice. And then the 8th fret 2nd string. Let me back up. I know that's a lot, but let's try and get through this slowly. By the way, that's a tip. If don't when you're trying to learn this stuff, do not try and do it up to tempo. It's just you'll learn it wrong. It's always best to just take it slow, set your own metronome, try and pace yourself, and then work up to. That's why these jam tricks are so important when you're learning this stuff, because they really do force you into a tempo. And you can find out where it's like it's a good litmus test for where you stand. You can find out if you're really getting it and being able to keep up with a band or not. So anyway, let's back up. We're gonna start here on that 10th fret 2nd string with that slow bend. There's your hammer on pull off. Then back to this note, 7th fret 1st string. Let me do it again without talking. All right, now after I did that, I came down and went just to do something kind of dramatic, I guess. And what I did was I started here on the 9th fret 3rd string and just did a full slide all the way down. It's easy to do. And then I played the low E string, which is just that low 6th string open. So it's like this. And that allows me to come right in back to the little verse part, if you will. Okay, so let's play through the A part from that part. We'll start from here. And then we're back. Oh, now this time through, the second time through, just to keep it interesting and give you another option, I went. Just thought that sounded cool. I've heard Robert Cray do that. I don't know that that's necessarily a Cream lick, but I thought it worked in. There we go. And what I did for that part we already got. I just came up here and played this is the 8th fret 2nd string, and we're going to hammer onto the 10th fret 2nd string. And then back to the 8th fret. Easy to do. Now watch this. That sounds hard. Maybe it sounds complicated when you first hear it, but you'll see, oh man, it's just walking right down pattern 4. That's all it is. So it starts here on the 9th fret 3rd string, 7th fret 3rd string, 9th fret 4th string. Easy there. Now watch this. We came all the way down to the 5th fret 4th string. And that's it. So That's what that lick looks like. Let me put it in context so you understand it. And you can hear me do it in the intro. If you watch the intro again, you'll see where that is. Okay? And then the last time through, we do the little harmonized part and go up again. Now there's two other parts. So those will be covered in the next video, in the part 2 video, and I'll go into the whole all of those licks will be covered in the next video. And then there's one other part which is kind of interesting, which goes to the B part. Anyway, we'll get into that in the next one. So let me do one more time through. I'll play through it slowly as I can without it being obnoxious. And this will be the conclusion to this video. All right, so here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And that is what we have for part 1. A lot of fun. There's a lot of stuff that you can, hopefully there's a lot of licks that you can steal from that and incorporate into your own playing. If you want to try them out over some kind of a blues in the key of E, and you can start to hear those licks and how they work. Just practice on the speed stuff. Some of those little hammer-on pull-offs, they look hard and they seem like they're challenging, but in 30 minutes of just practicing it, you can do it. So, all right, we'll see you in part 2.